Get your pineapple wedge and get your small umbrellas. Sandbars are narrow ridges of sand and sediment that form in bodies of water. They look incredible, which is why today I'm counting down the top 15 most amazing-looking sandbars and islands. Let's start with number 15, the most crowded island in the world. In the waters of Lake Victoria, Africa's largest lake, lies a speck of land so small and so crowded that it defies belief. This rocky outcrop is Mingo Island, a mere 2,000 square meters in size, that's less than half an acre, yet home to a community of over 300 people. At first glance, it looks more like a floating shanty town than an island. Tin-roofed shacks stacked side by side, occupying nearly every available inch. Narrow footpaths weave between structures that houses families, shops, bars, even a few guest lodges. Despite the cramped conditions, though, the island is bustling with life. Fishermen hauling in nets, vendors selling supplies, and children navigating the maze of homes with ease. The true allure of Mingo is economic. The surrounding water of Lake Victoria is teeming with Nile perch. That's a prized fish that supports a multi-million-dollar export industry. This island's location gives fishermen quick access to abundant fishing grounds, and fish processing and transport businesses have flourished here despite the lack of space. But life on Mingo is not easy. The island has no sewage system, limited access to clean water, and no room for agriculture or livestock. Supplies have to be ferried in by boat, and medical care is minimal. Still, for many residents, the financial opportunities outweigh those hardships. People come from all over Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania to try their luck with this aquatic microeconomy. From above, Mingo Island appears as a gray speck in the blue expanse of Lake Victoria. It's almost oval but completely covered in rooftops, giving it a texture unlike any natural island. Its small size contrasts sharply with its global notoriety. It's like a pinprick on the planet, yet pulsing with life and complexity. Number 14, the world's largest sand island, Fraser Island in Australia. Stretching along the southeastern coast of Queensland, Australia, is a landform so vast and unique that it seems impossible. Fraser Island, or Kagari as it's known to the Butchulla people, it's the largest sand island in the world. It measures over 120 kilometers or 75 miles in length and covers over 1,800 square kilometers or 710 miles. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it's renowned for its stunning freshwater lakes, rainforests, and towering dunes, all formed atop a base of pure sand. The forests here grow directly from the sand, and it's nourished by a fungi network that enhances its nutrients. Giant trees and kauri pines soar skywards, their roots stabilizing the dunes. And the island also features over 100 freshwater lakes, including Lake Mackenzie and Lake Wabi, known for their crystal-clear waters. One of the island's most dramatic features is 75 Mile Beach, a long stretch of sand that serves as both a highway and an airstrip. Four-wheel drive vehicles here zip along the coastline, past rusting shipwrecks like the infamous Maheno, and natural wonders like the colored sandstone cliffs known as the Pinnacles. Inland, visitors can hike through subtropical forests, wade through Eli Creek, or scale the massive Hammerstone Sandblow Dune. Wildlife here abounds. The island is home to one of the world's purest dingo populations, and birdwatchers too can spot over 350 species. But despite its remote feel, the island receives thousands of tourists each year, drawn by the opportunity to explore an environment where sand has become the foundation for complex life. However, the island is not without its threats. Erosion, unmanaged tourism, and wildfires have all taken their toll. Conservation efforts focus on maintaining access while minimizing ecological impact. Rangers do enforce strict rules on driving, camping, and waste disposal to preserve the fragile ecosystem. But from above, it appears as a long, thin, narrow ribbon of golden sand edged by turquoise water and green interior. The brilliant white of the eastern beach and the dark blues and greens of the island's freshwater lakes and forests is stunning. In 3D mode, dune ridges and coastal cliffs become visible, giving a sense of the island's scale. It looks like nature's improbable masterpiece. It's like a floating paradise made entirely of sand. Number 13, the manufactured island of trash, Tilafushi. In a country known for its postcard-perfect beaches and turquoise water, the story of Tilafushi Island stands in stark contrast to that. Just a few kilometers west of the Maldivian capital of Male, this man-made island is not a natural formation but the result of a necessity. An artificial sandbar expanded and developed to serve as the Maldives' primary waste disposal site. It's often dubbed as the Rubbish Island. Tilafushi is a surreal example of how human ingenuity and environmental challenge intersect to form something entirely new. In the early 1990s, the government there decided to convert it into a landfill to cope with the rising waste generated by booming tourism. Construction debris, plastics, metal, and organic waste were ferried in daily, and they were dumped into designated pits and then gradually built up into solid ground. Over time, the accumulation of refuse, combined with layers of imported sand and dredged material, transformed Tilafushi into a functioning island. Now, the environmental impact of this island has drawn some international concern. For years, open burning of waste and unregulated dumping released pollutants into the air and leached chemicals into the lagoon, threatening the surrounding marine ecosystem. Environmental groups have documented oil slicks, plastic debris, and heavy metal contamination in the nearby reefs and fisheries. In response, the government there and international partners have initiated cleanup and reform efforts. Waste segregation, recycling, and containment practices have improved, and long-term plans call for more sustainable waste management infrastructure. But despite its origins, Tilafushi represents pressing global issues. How to manage waste in limited space, really for small island nations vulnerable to climate change and sea level rise. But interestingly, Tilafushi is also being eyed for future development. Some proposals suggest converting parts of the island into renewable energy hubs, utilizing solar panels and even wind turbines. For now, though, it remains a stark juxtaposition, a man-made island that embodies both the cost of progress and the potential for adaptation. From an aerial view, it appears as a pale, angular shape ringed by boats and barges adjacent to the darker waters of the Indian Ocean. Straight edges, gridded construction, and other color variations marking zones of waste and development. Compared to the nearby natural atolls, Tilafushi stands out like a scar, a geometric island born not of nature, but of necessity. Number 12. Jindo and Modo Islands. Twice a year, in the water between Jindo and Modo Islands off the southwestern coast of South Korea, something extraordinary happens. The sea recedes, revealing a narrow sandbar nearly 3 kilometers long and 40 meters wide that connect the two islands for a few precious hours. This phenomenon is so striking that it's been dubbed the Korean Moses Miracle, and it draws tens of thousands of visitors during the annual Jindo Sea Parting Festival. This temporary sandbar, formed by shifting tidal currents and natural sediments, lie hidden beneath the water most of the year, but during the lowest tides of the lunar calendar, typically in late March and mid-June, the waters withdraw just enough to reveal this golden path, creating a walkable bridge across the sea. The explanation for this phenomenon lies in tidal harmonics and sediment deposition. The sandbar isn't a permanent landform, it's constantly shifting and is being reshaped by powerful tides. Marine biologists and coastal engineers have studied the event closely, and they note its influence on local ecology, sediment dynamics, and tourism-driven conservation. Managing the influx of visitors while preserving this intertidal environment is a delicate task. Authorities implement strict schedules and safety guidelines to ensure that people don't linger too long or wander off the safe path. And conservation efforts are also in place to prevent erosion and protect the sandbar from degradation. From above, this sea road is usually invisible, lying just beneath the surface of the ocean, but some satellite imagery captured during ultra-low tides reveals a faint curved stripe connecting Jindo and Modo like a secret path. During this rare window, when the sandbar emerges, the path appears as a golden arc across the blue-gray sea, a fleeting footprint in this watery landscape. Number 11. Tetiaroa in French Polynesia. In the cerulean expanse of the South Pacific, among the atolls of French Polynesia, lies the breathtaking island of Tetiaroa, a ring of coral islets or motus surrounding a shallow lagoon. Though it once belonged to Polynesian royalty, this secluded paradise gained international fame when it was purchased by actor Marlon Brando in the 1960s. But today, Tetiaroa stands not only as a symbol of luxury, but a beacon for sustainable tourism. Tetiaroa is part of the Society Islands, about 50 kilometers or 31 miles north of Tahiti. It comprises 12 motus and spans a total area of about 6 square kilometers, that's 2.3 square miles. Historically, it served as a retreat for Tahitian chiefs and nobility, and archaeological remnants of ancient mare, those are Polynesian temples, still dot the landscape. Though the island remained mostly undeveloped during his lifetime, Marlon Brando's legacy lives on through the Brando Resort, a high-end eco-resort opened in 2014. Guests enjoy luxury accommodations with a minimal ecological footprint, and a portion of all profits support the Tetiaroa Society, a non-profit organization dedicated to conservation. Ecologically, Tetiaroa is a sanctuary. Its lagoon teems with reef sharks, rays, sea turtles, and tropical fish. The motus host nesting grounds for seabirds and green turtles, and the surrounding reef supports vibrant coral systems. Culturally, Tetiaroa offers a deep connection to Polynesian heritage. Local guides lead storytelling sessions, traditional outrigger canoe excursions, and reef foraging tours. The island's preservation is a collaborative effort between Tahitian communities, researchers, and global leaders. From above, Tetiaroa appears as a delicate ring of white sand and green foliage that encircles a jewel-toned lagoon. The oval shape and surrounding reef are vividly outlined against the deep blue of the Pacific. In Google's 3D mode, subtle elevation changes on the motus and shimmering reef contours become visible. It's like a vision of serenity, an island that appears barely tethered to the earth, floating in tranquility. Number 10. Panjin Red Beach in China. In the northeast of China's Liaoning province, where the Liao River meets the Bohai Sea, a unique natural phenomenon transforms an expansive wetland into a canvas of brilliant red. This is Panjin Red Beach, a sprawling tidal flat covered not in sand, but in salt-tolerant plants called Sueta salsa. Each autumn, the plant turns a deep crimson, blanketing the wetlands in a wave of red that stretches to the horizon. But despite its name, the beach is not really a beach in the traditional sense. It's a marshland formed by sediment deposited from the river, creating these conditions for halophytic plants and migratory birds. Covering over 7,400 acres, the area is part of the Liaohe River Delta wetland, one of the largest and most well-preserved wetlands in the world. But Red Beach is not just visually stunning, it's critical. The marshes here provide vital habitats for over 260 bird species, including the endangered red-crowned crane and black-faced spoonbill. It supports aquatic life, and it helps filters pollutants, stabilize shorelines, and regulate water flows in the delta. The local economy benefits too from ecotourism and the harvesting of wild rice and seafood, such as soft-shell crabs and shrimp. Cultural events often accompany the peak of the red tide, including folk performances, traditional dragon dances, and food festivals. From above, it appears as an irregular mosaic of red, brown, and green located between river channels and tidal flats. Its vibrant hue is visible during seasonal satellite captures, while 3D views reveal the vastness of this marshland. Its irregular perimeter and textures create the impression of a bleeding canvas, nature painting with color in a place where the earth and water intertwine. Number 9. Vaadhoo Island in the Maldives. On the beaches of Vaadhoo Island, part of the Ra Atoll in the Maldives, is something extraordinary. After sunset, as the waves lap against the shore, the ocean begins to glow in shades of neon blue, casting an otherworldly shimmer along the water's edge. This natural light show is caused by bioluminescent phytoplankton. These are microscopic marine organisms that emit light when they're disturbed. The result is a breathtaking phenomenon known as the Sea of Stars. Now, this bioluminescence is typically most visible during late summer and autumn when the phytoplankton, known as dinoflagellates, bloom in large numbers. Each movement, whether a gentle wave, a passing fish, or a person walking along the shore, triggers tiny chemical reactions that emit light, illuminating the dark with a surreal glow. The phenomenon is not unique to Vaadhoo, but the island's crystal-clear water, absence of light pollution, and tranquil environment make it one of the best places in the world to observe it. But beyond the glow, the island is a slice of Maldivian serenity. This island features traditional fishing communities, swaying coconut palms, and simple guest houses where visitors can enjoy local cuisine. Conservation efforts are aimed to preserve this delicate marine environment around Vaadhoo. With rising interests in the Sea of Stars, local authorities are emphasizing sustainable tourism practices, Visitors are encouraged to avoid using artificial lights, refrain from disturbing marine life, and respect local customs. From above, Vaadhoo appears as a small green blotch that's ringed by white sand and turquoise water in the Indian Ocean. It's one of the many idyllic dots that make up the Maldives, but its fame outweighs its size. The bioluminescent glow isn't visible in satellite imagery due to its low intensity, but at night, viewed from sea level, the island transforms into a glowing oasis, a secret beacon in the darkness of the ocean. Number 8. Mont Saint-Michel, France. Rising from the tidal flats of Normandy like a medieval mirage, Mont Saint-Michel is one of the most iconic and enigmatic islands in the world. Crowned by a soaring Gothic abbey and surrounded by ramparts, this rocky island appears to float on the water at high tide, only to be connected to the mainland by a sandbar at low tide. It is a place where history, architecture, and nature blend in spectacular fashion. Mont Saint-Michel was originally established as a religious sanctuary in the 8th century. Over the centuries, it grew into a fortified monastery and later a strategic stronghold. Its location and defensible walls made it an impregnable fortress during the 100 Years' War. The abbey, perched atop the island's granite core, is an architectural marvel with flying buttresses, narrow cloisters, and breathtaking views of the bay. Historically speaking, pilgrims timed their visits with the tide, walking across the sands to reach the abbey. Today, though, a modern elevated bridge provides safe access regardless of tide, though many still opt for the traditional experience of crossing the tidal flats on foot, guided by local experts who know how to avoid the quicksand and shifting currents. Once you get to the island, it's home to a small permanent population and a handful of shops, restaurants, and museums. Millions of people come to visit and climb its steep cobbled streets, explore its ancient halls, and attend Mass in the Abbey's candlelit sanctuary every year. Cultural festivals and reenactments celebrate Mont Saint-Michel's rich history, drawing tourists and spiritual seekers alike. From above, it is a dramatic silhouette amongst the ever-changing shades of gray and brown. At high tide, it appears like a small island ringed by glistening water, and at low tide, the surrounding sandbanks and meandering water channels give it the look of a medieval spaceship that landed on a moonscape. Mont Saint-Michel is not just a place, it's a living rhythm of earth and sea. Moving on to number 7, Koh Nang Wan in Thailand. Off the coast of Koh Tao in the Gulf of Thailand lies a postcard-perfect natural wonder known as Koh Nang Wan, a small trio of jungle-covered islands linked by 2 slender sandbars. This extraordinary formation allows visitors to walk between the islands during low tide, surrounded by shimmering water and vibrant coral reefs. But despite its modest size, it's one of the region's most beloved destinations, especially for snorkeling and photography. These strips of white sand shift subtly with the seasons and the tides, but will always remain walkable, creating a natural pathway over crystal-clear shallows. The entire island group is part of a marine conservation area, and efforts are made to protect its fragile reef systems. A short hiking trail leads to panoramic viewpoints atop one of the central islands, and from there the full splendor of the formation comes into view, a triad of green hills floating on sapphire seas. Koh Nang Wan is privately managed, and visitor numbers are regulated to reduce environmental impact. Plastic bottles are banned, and visitors pay a small entrance fee to support the conservation efforts. The surrounding waters are calm and shallow, making it ideal for families and beginner snorkelers. However, currents can shift suddenly with the tide, so swimmers are advised to stay within designated areas and heed the guidance of local tour operators. From above, 3 green humps rise from the vivid blue, connected by pale, twisting ribbons of sand. The reef is visible as a halo of darker blue and purple hues, and the boats clustered nearby hint at the island's popularity. It is a masterclass in tropical geomorphology. It's like nature's architecture on display. Number 6. Spurn Point, England. At the confluence of the Humber Estuary and the North Sea lies one of England's most unusual changing landforms, Spurn Point, a narrow, curving spit of land and a shingle that stretches over 5 kilometers. Resembling a slender tail or question mark, Spurn Point is both a dramatic natural feature and a site of strategic and historical importance. Formed by longshore drift, Spurn Point's composed of sediment carried along the coast by wave action and deposited where currents slow near the estuary. This constant shifting landform is prone to erosion and accretion, meaning it's always in flux, growing, shrinking, and even breaking away entirely during powerful storms. But despite the instability, Spurn Point's played an outsized role in maritime history. It's long served as a launch point for Humber pilots. These are skilled navigators who guide ships through treacherous estuary waters. During both World Wars, Spurn Point was heavily fortified, and the remnants of military bunkers, observation towers, and artillery emplacements can still be found on the dunes. Access to Spurn Point is permitted only on foot or by bicycle. Vehicles are restricted to protect the fragile environment, and visitors can walk through the length of the spit, enjoying views of the Humber and the open sea. Interpretive trails and guided tours provide insight into the spit's geology, ecology, and history. However, rising sea levels pose ongoing threats to Spurn Point's future. Coastal defenses are limited, and many experts believe these landforms may eventually erode or just reconfigure into a series of smaller islands. Conservationists monitor the area closely, adapting management strategies as these conditions evolve. From above, Spurn Point looks like a narrow hook or scythe extending from the British coastline into a shimmering estuarial delta. The narrowness of the neck of it is immediately apparent, and the contrast between the sandy ocean and the muddy estuary side adds to the visual drama. It is a geographical signature. It's like nature's calligraphy alongside the Yorkshire coast. Number 5. Malacca Strait's Sandbanks. Running between the Malay Peninsula and the Indonesian island of Sumatra, the Strait of Malacca is one of the world's most important shipping routes, carrying about 25% of global maritime trade. Beneath the waters, however, lies a treacherous and shifting network of underwater sandbanks that's challenged navigators for centuries. These hidden formations, often visible from the surface, pose a constant threat to modern cargo ships and oil tankers, creating a dynamic underwater landscape of danger and intrigue. They're primarily formed by the deposition of sediments carried from the surrounding rivers and coastal erosion. Now, over time, the ocean currents and tidal flows will shape these sediments into narrow, elongated ridges that just lie below the surface, some less than 10 meters deep. Ships must pass through constrained shipping lanes with little room for error, especially during bad weather or at night. The 1 Fathom Bank, for example, lies near Port Klang in Malaysia, and it's one of the best-known shallow spots in the strait, marked by lighthouses and buoys, but that still cause occasional groundings. Despite technological advancements, including GPS and sonar, ships continue to run aground or veer dangerously close to these submerged hazards. Historically, these banks have also influenced trade and conflict. Pirate ships once used the shallow waters as ambush points, and colonial powers built fortifications and lighthouses to secure passage. The strait has witnessed shipwrecks, wartime naval battles, and modern piracy, all shaped in part by the unseen patterns from these underwater features. From above, the straits appear deceptively uniform, expanses of gray-blue stretching between two heavily developed coastlines. But with high-resolution imagery, the sandbanks can be faintly seen as lighter or more turbid patches, especially during low tide or in areas of dredging. In 3D mode, ship wakes and channel patterns hint at the complex navigation required, while shipping routes marked on the map reveal how vessels snake carefully around these submerged ridges. These sandbanks are ghost-like, seen only in the disturbances that they create. Number 4. Sandy Key, British Virgin Islands. In the waters of the Caribbean, nestled between Tortola and Jost van Dyke, lies a tiny speck of paradise called Sandy Key. With its powdery white beaches, swaying palms, and absence of development, this 14-acre islet embodies the dream of a deserted island, more than perhaps any other. It's part of the British Virgin Islands, and it's located within easy sailing distance of the region's main cruising routes. It's uninhabited and maintained as a nature preserve because there are no hotels, homes, or businesses, just sand, sea, and native vegetation. One captivating feature of Sandy Key is the beach, a perfect crescent of soft, white sand sloping gently into crystal clear water. The shallows surrounding it are ideal for snorkeling, revealing coral heads, schools of tropical fish, and even the occasional sea turtle. But strict conservation rules prohibit any littering, fires, or disturbing wildlife. Though it may feel like an untouched paradise, Sandy Key has benefited from careful stewardship. It was once owned by the Rockefeller family interests, who donated it to the BVI National Parks Trust. This trust continues to manage the island as a protected space with the help of volunteers and local organizations. Because of its size and fragility, Sandy Key is vulnerable to storms, rising sea levels, and overuse. Hurricane Irma in 2017 caused some pretty significant damage to its trees and coastline, but nature and conservationists have slowly helped it recover. From above, Sandy Key is a tiny fleck in the vast Caribbean, surrounded by every shade of blue imaginable. In high-res images, the beach's crescent curve and the dark green foliage contrast sharply. It's the archetype of a tropical island fantasy, a postage stamp of perfection floating in paradise. Number 3. Takua Island, a Polynesian thread in the Pacific. Tucked away in the remote South Pacific lies the tiny, often overlooked nation of Tokelau, a group of 3 atolls under New Zealand's administration. Among its most fascinating features is Takua Islet, located on the Whakaofo Atoll, connected to neighboring islets by narrow, ephemeral sandbars that appear and vanish with the tides. Takua Islet itself is little more than a slender patch of sand and coconut palms, yet it holds great cultural significance. For the people of Tokelau, such islets and their connecting sandbars are essential to traditional life, used for fishing, gathering shellfish, and transporting goods between land. Visitors here are few. Reaching the islands requires a multi-day sea journey from Samoa, and tourism infrastructure is minimal. However, for those who arrive, the experience is unlike any other. Sandbar is not only a scenic marvel, but a gateway to understanding Polynesian resilience and harmony with nature. Rising sea levels do threaten places like Takua more than almost anywhere else on Earth. Increased storm surges have begun to erode the sandbars and overwhelm low-lying islets. Conservation efforts include planting mangroves, building seawalls, and training local youths in coastal monitoring. From above, though, its sandbars are barely visible on most satellite images. It's like a smudge of white and green in a sea of blue. But in high-resolution views, especially on Google Earth, the sandbar emerges faintly during low tide, like a silken thread stretching between islands. The islets offer a humbling reminder of nature's fragility and its grace. Number 2. The Emerald Island, Brazil. In southern Brazil lies Ilha do Campeche, a forested island fringed with soft white sand and turquoise water. Though modest in size, only 1.6 square kilometers or half a square mile, this island combines natural beauty with mystery. Hidden among its granite boulders are over 100 prehistoric petroglyphs etched into the stone by indigenous peoples thousands of years ago. These ancient symbols make it one of Brazil's most intriguing offshore locations. The island is named after the nearby Campeche neighborhood on the mainland, and it's accessible only by authorized boat tours. Visitors are escorted by certified guides who explain both the ecological and cultural history of the island. This place is renowned for the crystalline waters, ideal for swimming, snorkeling, and paddleboarding. The marine life here includes sea stars, urchins, colorful reef fish, and even rays. Beneath the waves lie submerged rock formations and patches of coral that draw marine biologists and underwater photographers. Culturally, though, the island holds spiritual importance for many Brazilians, particularly the descendants of indigenous communities who once lived along the coast. The Brazilian government has designated it as an archaeological and ecological heritage site. All tourism activities are designed with sustainability in mind. Boats use electric motors, and waste is carried back to the mainland. Rangers patrol the trails to prevent graffiti and unauthorized access to sensitive zones. From above, it's a lush green teardrop floating in an aquamarine sea. Its a white sand beach on the northern side stands out like a ribbon of cream, while the southern half is rocky and forested. The outlines of boat moorings and visitor paths can be seen, but the petroglyph sites are hidden from view, preserved in secrecy until experienced on foot. It is an island of dualities, seen and unseen, ancient and alive. Number 1. The mythic cove of the Ionian Sea, Zakynthos Shipwreck Beach. In the southwestern corner of Greece, located between limestone cliffs and framed by the waters of the Ionian Sea, lies one of the most iconic coastal landmarks in the world, Vaadhoo Beach, also known as Shipwreck Beach on the island of Zakynthos. With its brilliant blue waters, powder white sand, and dramatic skeleton of a smuggler's ship at the center, Vaadhoo has captured the imaginations of travelers, photographers, and filmmakers. The beach sits within a sheer limestone cove that drops vertically into the sea with no land access. Visitors can only arrive by boat. The cliffs tower over 200 meters or 650 feet above the beach, offering amazing panoramic views for those willing to brave the winding drive to the cliff top. The beach owes its name and fame to the Panagiotis, a freightliner that ran aground in 1980 under mysterious circumstances. Officially, the ship was carrying contraband, cigarettes, and alcohol when it was pursued by the Greek Navy and forced into the cove during a storm. Whether the smuggler's tale is fact or legend, the rusted wreck has become an inseparable part of the landscape, embedded in the sand like an artifact from maritime myth. But what makes it more than just a visual marvel is the environment. The surrounding cliffs host rare plant species, birds, and the bay is part of the Zakynthos Marine Park, which include protected waters that serve as a breeding ground for endangered loggerhead sea turtles. Accessing Navajo Beach is an adventure in itself. Boats depart, offering guided tours that include swimming stops, cave visits, and geological commentary, and some tourists opt to view the beach from the clifftop lookout, a fenced platform with dizzying views straight down. Mass tourism, especially in the summer months, brings thousands of daily visitors, putting pressure on the beach's ecosystem. Anchor boat tours churn up the seabed, foot traffic erodes the cliff trails, and the sheer volume of tourists sometimes overwhelms safety protocols. Culturally, Navajo symbolizes the contradictions of the modern world, where beauty, history, tourism, and nature all collide. It's a place both timeless and timely, ancient in form yet modern in fame. For artists, writers, and photographers, Shipwreck Beach is a living canvas. Its palette of colors, cobalt sea, sunlit limestone, rusted metal, changes with the hour. Stormy days render it brooding and moody. Calm mornings reveal a dreamscape of reflections and silence. It's a place that inspires wonder, introspection, and the eternal desire to return. From above, Navajo Beach appears as a pocket of white that's carved into a cliffside crescent, the wreck barely a speck on its surface. In Google Earth 3D mode, the vertical drop of the surrounding cliffs is striking, like walls of a coliseum that were sculpted by the sea. It's one of those rare places that looks just as stunning from space as it does from the shore. It's an enduring symbol of nature's artistry and of mankind's fascination with the sublime.